Me and my best friend's mom were trapped on a snowy mountain. She said, "It's too dangerous, stay." A real infidelity story. Have you ever crossed a line you swore you'd never even approach? I never meant for it to happen, not like that, not with her. But one snowstorm, one cabin, and one night changed everything. When my best friend's mom said, "It's too dangerous, stay," I didn't know she meant more than the blizzard outside. I thought we were just surviving the night. Turns out, we were both running from things that had been waiting far longer than any storm. I was 21, fresh out of college, still half boy, half man, when my best friend Jason invited me to his family's winter cabin in the Rockies. It was a tradition for him. Snowboarding, whiskey, firewood crackling late into the night. I'd never been, so when he said, "Dude, come. It's peaceful, you'll love it," I jumped on it. But a day before we were supposed to leave, Jason bailed. "Mom's still going up," he told me over the phone. "But I gotta stay back for work." "Go anyway. She won't mind. She'll probably appreciate the company." His mom, Natalie. She was nothing like what you'd expect a mom to be. Not in that stereotypical apron-wearing kind of way. Natalie was elegance with an edge. 43 but looked 30. Always laughing with her eyes. Always too observant. She was the kind of woman who could make you sit straighter just by walking into a room. And I'd be lying if I said I hadn't noticed that before. When I arrived, the sky was already bruised with storm clouds. Snowflakes fluttered like ash. Natalie greeted me at the door of the cabin with a wine glass in hand and a wool sweater that slid just off her shoulder. "Glad you made it," she said, pulling me into a hug that lasted a little longer than I expected. "They said the storm's moving in faster than planned. We might be stuck for a bit." The words should have sounded like a warning. But they felt like an invitation. The storm didn't just arrive. It swallowed the mountain. By evening, we couldn't even see the porch from the living room window. The wind screamed through the trees like something alive. Inside, the fire warmed the air, and the wine warmed our nerves. Natalie was easy to talk to, too easy. We spoke about everything. Books, music, Jason's awful college roommates. At one point, I made a joke about her still looking like she belonged on the cover of a fashion magazine. And she laughed, then looked at me. Not in that motherly, "Oh, you're sweet" way, but like she heard me. Fully. Later, she changed into a robe, thick, cream-colored, tied loosely at the waist. I tried not to notice the silhouette beneath it, the way her hair fell down one shoulder, slightly damp from the shower. She handed me a second glass of wine and sat beside me on the couch. "Close. Too close. You ever wonder," she said softly, eyes watching the fire, "if the life you planned just missed you somehow?" I nodded slowly. Every day since graduation. Her smile was quiet and sad. "Yeah, me too." We talked late into the night. As the power flickered and died, we lit candles. As the heat dulled, we sat closer. When the blizzard screamed louder, her voice got softer. "You okay?" I asked when the cabin shuddered with the wind. She looked at me with something like gratitude, then placed her hand on mine. "Yeah," she said. "But stay, okay? It's too dangerous out there." That sentence, that tone, it cracked something in me. I wasn't sure what was happening, only that it was. I felt every cell in my body suddenly aware of how close we were. How alone. And how easy it would be to lean in. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, we pulled a thick blanket over our legs and sat in a silence that buzzed louder than any storm. Then sometime after midnight she whispered, "Can I tell you a secret?" "Of course," I murmured, trying to ignore how her thigh pressed into mine. "I haven't been touched, not truly. Since before Jason left for college." She didn't look at me. Just kept her eyes on the fire. Something inside me screamed to stand up, to leave the room, to shut this door before it opened too far. But I stayed. I don't remember who moved first, her or me. I just know our lips touched like a question being asked with no words. Hesitant. Searching. She pulled back just slightly, whispering, "This is wrong, right?" But her fingers were already tangled in my shirt, and her breath was shaky against my jaw. I answered without thinking, "Yeah, It is. And then I kissed her again. It wasn't frantic. It was slow. Heavy with every unspoken thing we'd been dancing around since the moment I walked into that cabin. When we finally broke apart, lying tangled in the blanket, hearts thudding like war drums, she turned to face me. "Do you hate me now?" she asked. I shook my head. "No. I just don't know what this means." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. "It doesn't have to mean anything. Maybe it was just loneliness. Maybe that's all." But even as she said it, I could see the truth in her eyes. It wasn't just loneliness. It was 1,000 moments of looking across a room and pretending not to see someone who sees you back. It was longing, guilt, need, all boiling over in one impossible night. I held her until the fire burned to embers. Neither of us slept. When the sun rose, the storm had passed. The world outside looked reborn, pure, untouched, silent. But inside the cabin, everything had changed. We didn't speak much that morning. She brewed coffee, I packed my bag. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was sacred. Like we both knew talking too much would shatter whatever fragile peace we'd found. When I hugged her goodbye, she held on for just a second longer than necessary. Then whispered, "Don't tell Jason. Please." He nodded. I haven't seen Natalie since that winter. Jason and I drifted apart, as friends often do after college. Every now and then I'll see a picture of them together. Family gatherings, birthdays, smiles. I wonder if she ever thinks about that night. If it ever flickers across her mind the way it does mine. Suddenly and without warning, like a match struck in the dark. Was it a mistake? Maybe. Was it real? Absolutely. Sometimes we're just two people caught in a storm, needing something, someone, before the world comes back to normal. But I'll never forget the way she looked at me in the firelight. The way she said, "Stay." And how, just for one night, I finally did.